Welcome, everyone. It's good to see everybody. Sorry, I'm getting my coffee on. Yeah, we've got an interesting one for you, folks. I've got an interesting one for you. So, of course, I'm going to continue with Kelly Long's deposition. So far, I mean, I think it's pretty safe to make the observation that she has just been lying and deflecting pretty much everything. So, yeah, it's pretty interesting to me. And what's also interesting now, before I continue that, you guys, some of you guys have noticed that I've got a recent somewhat of a little stone in my shoe. And that little stone in my shoe goes by the name of Levi Page. Now, I reached out to Levi, inviting him on panel to speak with me, and I never heard back. But it doesn't change the fact that I'm going to share what I'm sharing, and I don't feel in the least bit bad about it, because this person has doxed me. And he's clearly, yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what's going on. I believe Levi Page to be, to be, I mean, you're going to see that this dude, let me just explain it. I'll show you guys. But yeah, this dude is a special kind of someone. And that's the thing is you guys, I mean, I know people are worried because these people, they dox people, they get people fired from their jobs. I don't have a job right now. I don't have anything to worry about. I get to do this full time. They don't have anything to threaten me with. Nothing. So I'm just going to keep doing this. I'm just going to keep doing this. So now what's interesting about this this Levi Page person is give me 1 second here. Now the I want to be clear, the website is not exactly the most credible source for information where I'm getting this, but the police reports that are posted in there and the phone calls, the recordings, they don't lie. So yeah, we're gonna get a new perspective on our new friend, Mr. Levi Page. So I hope y'all can see this okay. All right. So this Levi Page here says here, HLN pundit Levi Page caught on tape making false police report about missing child Haley Cummings. Now, this is pretty old, but it still speaks to credibility, most definitely. And it makes a lot of sense why dude only has just over 1,000 subs. So, you know, having a history like this. But so says here, this is from November 27th, 2016. Tina Church, a private investigator with specialized investigative consultants, told Right Into Action that a police report on file at the police department in East Grand Forks bearing her name and telephone number was not made by her. Church telephoned Right Into Action today and said the police report was made by a former HLN pundit named Levi Page and a woman from Florida. I have a tape that confirms it was not me that made the report against you to the police. It was this person that's redacted acting as me with Levi Page, Church says. Now, Haley Cummings, she went missing from the Jacksonville area, I believe. I'm not really familiar with the case, but she went missing in 2009, I believe. She was 5 years old. She would have turned 18 years old Tuesday, from what I understand. So now, the The article continues to say the name of the female is being withheld and has been provided to law enforcement. Right Into Action knows the female referenced and has extensive recorded interviews of the person claiming to know everything that happened to Haley Cummings. I want to repeat that. Right Into Action knows the female referenced and has extensive recorded interviews of the person claiming to know everything that happened to Haley Cummings. Guys, we cover missing people's cases on here all the time. What I'm reading here is despicable. I mean, it's absolutely disgusting. I mean, we talk about how speculation's bad. This dude is actually making calls and making false claims to know what happened to this child. I mean, so here's the police report right there. But I can't seem to zoom in on it. It says Levi Page was investigated by the EGFPD in July 2015 regarding sexual stories he was fabricating and publishing about the children of Timothy Charles Holmesmith. Yes, it gets better, people. Regarding sexual stories that he was fabricating and publishing about children. Page, along with a shadowy group that includes Nancy Grace's reporter Art Harris, have stalked Holmesmith since 2009 and used extortion, extreme defamation, false police reports, death threats, and a threat to kidnap Holmesmith's grandchild in efforts to silence him. Interesting. But this has nothing to do with Kelly's PR firm. No, not at all. No, nobody. Yeah, this guy's not. Yeah, let's get real, people. Holmesmith possesses evidence that proves Lieutenant Detective Rodney Hadjick secretly conspired against Holmesmith with others, including Harris, using private methods of communication, including his personal Gmail account. Here's some screenshots of the emails, looks like. So Art Harris is sending these to Rod. I'm in shock, but just heard the FBI actually paid a visit to the web design firm in Florida that donated their time to do the website for the missing child. Based on his absurd accusations, he's now almost gotten a 23-year employee fired for sending the child's photos on her company email to the pro bono web firm. He's got to be stopped. You may have a complaint already, but take a look at a bogus harassment complaint he filed long ago. And now he's actually suggesting I'm harassing him when I haven't responded to one mail except when he tried to get me to hire him. This is all stated 2 weeks and I backed away. To this plot, he exposed a coworker in 2002 of plotting to steal his fingerprints by tricking him into handwriting a white envelope. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. Now, this is interesting. I'm going to click on this. Now, this is from 2015, July 26th. Former CNN pundit on missing children cases investigated for sexually stalking minor children on the web. A webcaster from Tennessee that once appeared on the Jane Valles Mitchell show on the HLN network has been investigated by Minnesota police and is now part of a court case involving child protection. Page is accused of operating a website called radionewswz.net and using it to publish sexual threats and videos against the minor children of a witness in the Haley Cummings missing child investigation. Like, this dude is a piece of shit. I mean, it's unbelievable. So on August 18th, 2015 at 3 p.m. at the Polk County Justice Center in Cookstown, Minnesota, Honorable Tamara Yan will hear a motion to hold Rhonda W. Callahan, Grand Forks, North Dakota, in contempt of court for violating a protective order. The motion was filed after sexual threats and videos began appearing on radio news radionews.net against the children of investigative journalist Timothy Holmeseth. The author of the threats is demanding Timothy remove all of his websites from the web by July 26th at 12:01 a.m. or more sexual content will be published about his children. Wow. This is unbelievable. In July 2015, a police report was filed against Levi Page for harassment, extortion, blackmail, sexual threats against minor children to the web, which the victim is believed to have been being perpetrated by Levi Page using a fake name on radionews.net. So here is the redacted police report, if it ever loads. Let's refresh it. Like today, bro. Well, it's not loading, so I'll just continue with the article. And I think these phone calls are in here too. So let's listen. Let's listen to this phone call. Oh, wait. Okay. Hold on. Wow. This guy's a piece of shit, dude. All right. Give me 1 second here, guys. You guys couldn't hear that? Did that come through? Type of one if you could hear that audio. You heard nothing. Okay, hold on. Can you guys hear that? Yeah, I'm going to try it again. Hold on. Everything's acting really screwy right now. Okay. Okay, now I'm getting sound. So let's try it this way. Can you guys hear that? All right. So what I'll do is I'll find a way to post this stuff. Um, all right. So I'll find a way to post this stuff. Um, but well, actually, you know what I'll do? I will share the link to this article in the chat, and you guys can listen for yourselves. Okay, so it says here that Levi was telephoning witnesses and threatening them about what they could or could not say regarding the Haley Cummings case. Says also that Levi Page called Timothy and told him Haley Cummings was dead and he better shut the fuck up and stop saying Haley is alive. At the time, Levi Page telephoned Homseth. Homseth had already begun to obtain information about child rape pornography that had been created and distributed of Haley Cummings after she was reported missing. In June 2015, Homseth reported the evidence to the Minneapolis FBI and Florida Department of Law Enforcement. The evidence regarding the child pornography has been submitted to Director Tom Hackney, Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, and Jacksonville FBI in the wake of the Lonzie Barton kidnapping in Jacksonville, Florida. So, I mean, like, these are the kind of people, like, this is the kind of person that Kelly Long, that has Kelly Long, that are going to bat for Kelly Long. I mean, what does that tell you? I mean, what does it take to understand that this sort of thing is, I mean, look at the people going to bat for Kelly Long. Look at the stuff Critical K does. Look at the stuff this guy does. Look at the stuff that Limey with the T does. I mean, what else do you need to know? I mean, that to me speaks volumes. I mean, like, the guy doxed me. It's not the first time. Critical K's doxed me. I mean, it wouldn't be the first time. It's not going to be the last time that I've been doxed. You know, I mean, it kind of goes with the territory. You know, I say it all the time. I used to say it all the time. If you're not saying something up here that is pissing somebody off, you're not saying anything worth hearing. And the truth is always going to piss somebody off, always. And I'm ruffling a lot of feathers. I see that, but I'm just going to keep going, and I'm going to keep doing it. And I mean, all you need to know is just the behavior of these people. That's all you need to know. Well, okay, Louisiana girl, good point. In all fairness, Kale may not have control over this douche canoe, although we know she's working with CK. Right, true. But the fact of the matter is I've seen CK in his chat, you know, while he's doxing me. So, I mean, the fact of the matter here is, you know, I mean, it doesn't matter if she has control over him or not. This is the caliber of person that's speaking on her behalf. I mean, and I get doxxed, and all you get are vague police reports with a wild story behind them that are created by an ex who I beat in a custody fight. So this is a joke to me. This is a joke to me that these people think that they can intimidate me in some way, get me to shut up. Like, it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. And I'm going to continue to read this deposition, and I'm going to continue to expose the truth. Why? If Sophie's claims are false, why so much deflecting? Why so much lying? So, you know what I mean? Like, you got this guy, Levi Page, like, saying sexually harassing things to kids, to children. I mean, what does that tell you? What does that tell you about this person? And the Nancy Grace connection, absolutely. The Nancy Grace connection to Kelly's PR firm, absolutely. I mean, this is not all coincidence, people. This is not all one big coincidence. You got to use your eyes. Okay. So I'm not sure exactly where I left off on the deposition. So I'm just going to read some stuff. I'm sorry if I'm reading stuff that I already read. But yeah, I know I read this, but I'm just going to keep going with it. Okay. And so Ms. Lichman asks, and I looked back to my timeline. I digress. We're in March, and there's this dispute in March on AppClose, right? Basically on the AppClose, things appear to be relatively calm. You guys are discussing COVID, right? And different things going on around COVID. And you send Michael this text saying that the school has, and you use the word extended, that the school had extended spring break another week. Do you remember sending that message? Kelly says, yes. I believe you're exact. This is a message that you sent on March the 12th at 6:03 p.m. You said Frisco ISD is extending spring break 1 week. I am WFH, which I assume is an acronym for working from home for the next few weeks. So not a problem at all. Just a heads up. Do you recall? Yes. Okay, good. He responds the next day at 1:55 p.m. I'm pleased to know that they are taking the necessary safety precautions to protect the children. Since spring break has been officially extended, it's my understanding that our visit would continue at the end of the designated period, so the new exchange date would be Sunday the 22nd at 5 p.m. He goes on to say, fortunately, we are prepared. We have food. The kids are fine. Hope, he says, I hope y'all are well on your end. Please stay safe and reach out if you need anything. How would you describe the tone of Michael's response to you? Kelly says, fine. Lichman says, okay, earlier you had mentioned that you had been getting months and months of harassing messages on AppClose. Is this one of your examples of a harassing message from Michael? No, she says. No. Okay. When you got that message, you didn't respond to Michael and saying, I have a different understanding of our order, did you? Kelly says, I don't know what I responded. Ms. Lichman says, well, I can read it. You responded same day, about an hour and 20 minutes later at 3:19 p.m. You said, I consulted with my lawyer. We are to meet in Waco on Sunday, March 15th at 5 p.m. as ordered in our agreement. So from that time you read that, how long did it take for you to get on the phone with your lawyer? Considering it was a unique circumstance, Kelly says, that I think a lot of families were facing and didn't know the answer to, I called her pretty quickly because there is nothing in our agreement that calls for what to do during a pandemic. So, of course, I would consult with my attorney as to what the appropriate course of action is. It's actually a perfectly solid answer. I mean, it's a pandemic. Nobody in our lifetime ever experienced this. Nobody knows what to do. But it's also a pretty convenient excuse too. What was your concern if Michael had the kids an extra few days? I'd already seen several concerning behaviors from him. Oh, okay. Like what? She answers, Sophie had, they had moved during that. Sophie had sent me some concerning texts about being upset that they were moving, wanting to come home. He had been discussing, inappropriate topics with the children, such as suicide, and telling them that their neighbor shot themselves in the head because their wife cheated on them, and that a little 9-year-old girl killed themselves because they were being bullied. The kids were coming back saying things like, well, if I'm bullied, I guess I could do that too. And it was very concerning to me that Michael was discussing such inappropriate topics with the children, which I did address the counselor, and they saw the counselor the next day after that. In addition, Michael had described some arguments that him and Courtney had, and that the kids corroborated also. The kids told me that Michael was like yanking, what's their kid's name, Phoenix, was like yanking Phoenix away from Courtney, that she had been out drinking. The kids told me that Michael was yelling at her that she was drinking, that she wasn't allowed to have Phoenix, that, you know, she was mad that the kids had stayed up waiting for her because they hadn't seen her all day. I had received texts and conversations with Sophie that Michael was often putting her in the middle of conversations as it relates to me and her. I was receiving and, you know, talking with Sophie about concerns that Michael would frequently leave them with babysitters. She was frequently upset upon returns because she couldn't understand why Michael couldn't get out of bed in the morning to spend time with them as he could get out of bed to go to market on Saturdays. So I was, you know, facing a little girl who was desperately wanted her father's love and attention, and very much struggling with why that wasn't happening. And given Michael's phone conversation with me about COVID, I had pretty big concerns that his cycle of the world is ending. What smear campaign can I go on against Kelly was beginning again. Okay, let's take each of these in turn. Kelly says, sure. Now, before I go on, guys, like, I mean, that was quite a mouthful to say on the fly, wasn't it? I mean, that sounds like something that was written. So, I mean, either Kelly's like really intelligent, or she basically like made up some deflective answers before she even came into this deposition and memorized them. But she's off. It's very articulate. That response was extremely articulate. All right. And so Ms. Lishman says, phone call about COVID. None of that is reflected in these AppClose messages. Would you agree? No. What I'm saying is, Michael would you say that he had like some sort of, I don't know, I don't want to put words in your mouth. You tell me. Did you consider that Michael had some sort of inappropriate reaction to COVID? Kelly says he asked me to have a phone conversation in February before it had really gotten bigger where he was. He had basically told me that he thinks that this is the time that the world is going to end, and I need to be prepared, and the kids need to be with him in order to stay safe. It says, So objection, non-responsive. Ms. Lishman says, my question is, do you think he was doing something inappropriate with regard, like having an inappropriate reaction to it, meaning COVID? He says, yes. Okay. Hold on, let me double check something, guys. What am I looking for in DMs? What are you talking about? You're lucky I even looked at the screen. I can't see chat when I'm reading this. Okay, hold on. Well, I'm sorry, man, but that ship has sailed. That ship has sailed. I think I've been cordial enough, considering I've been doxxed. And I want to clear something up. So people were saying, because this Levi character had accused me of calling him a child molester, which I did not do. What I did was I did say that he dressed like one, or I implied it anyway. But I don't do dirty behind the scenes things like this. And I've done more than enough. I reached out to the guy earlier because I was hoping to have an adult conversation. Because what I'm doing is perfectly fair. What I'm doing is perfectly legal. And what I'm doing, I believe, is right. And I don't have a problem with anybody else believing what they believe in if it's opposite of what I believe in. I don't have a problem with that. But what I do have a problem with is when people treat people a certain way, when you go beyond the ethics of what it is to be a YouTuber, when you don't play fair. Because I'm never going to go behind the scenes and try to destroy someone's life because I disagree with their point of view. I'm never ever going to do that. I never have, and I never will. And it continues to happen. It continues to happen to anybody who speaks on this case in defense of Sophie. So that tells me all I need to know. So now, like I said, the information that I received on Levi Page today, that is from an independent news source, may not even be true. But I put the link in chat so that you can listen to the phone calls and hear how this guy speaks to people. And I'm just not, after hearing those phone calls, I'm not bringing this guy on my panel. He has no place here. So, yeah, see, we don't do that sort of thing here. That's not what we do here. We speak the truth. We speak the truth. And we back up what we believe in. And we use fair play, because I'm not going to go behind the scenes and do dirty things to people because I don't agree with their point of view. I think it's cowardly. And I think it's disgusting. It's bottom feeder shit. And I don't do that. But I mean, yeah, make videos. Cool. People make videos about me all the time. People make hate videos about me all the time. That's fair play, man. You know, if you disagree with somebody, bring your point up. That's all you have to do. Just bring your point up. Do it in a more creative, wittier way than the other person. But I mean, what does that say about what you believe in when you're not speaking on any facts on it? All you're doing is doxing people and trying to shut people up. What does that say about you? What does that say about the side that you're defending? So I'm going to continue now. Okay, your answer, yes, because he was feeling like I've got to prepare and this is no big deal, or this is a big deal, or what? Kelly says he was convinced that the world was ending. And Ms. Lishman goes on to say, okay, and you would agree with me that the attitude or sentiment is not reflected anywhere in the AppClose messages between the two of you. No, it's not. No. Okay. And then you talked about all of these things that Sophie was telling you about. You said there were texts between you and Sophie that he had talked to them about suicide and bullying. No, Michael brought up the suicide to me in person verbally. Interesting. Oh, okay. I misunderstood your testimony. Was Michael talking to the kids about the subject or talking to you about that? Michael told me he had talked to the kids about the subject, she says. Ms. Lishman goes on to say, okay, let's put a pin in that one. There are text messages that you said about the move. Kelly says, yes. She says, and in arguments with Courtney. No, that was verbal from Michael to me. Verbal? And it was verbal from the kids to me also. I'm not in the nature of recording all my conversations, so no, I can't produce anything. But didn't she say that this took place in the text messaging? I mean, I could have misread that. I could have misunderstood that. Ms. Lishman says, what? I'm just going to object as non-responsive. Let's kind of try and move things along. I just want to know what is in the text messages that you haven't produced to me. And so far, I know that the move is in text messages that you haven't produced to me. Was Sophie's sentiment to you that she felt like she was in the middle Was that in a text message? She says, no. That was multiple conversations I've had with her. Okay. What about leaving with the babysitter? Was that in a text message? Kelly says, yes. Okay. I believe so. Text that you haven't produced? Yes. Okay. And he's in bed and he won't get out of bed, but he'll get up to go to the market. Was that in a text? Was that in a text message or was that verbal? She says that was verbal. Okay. Verbal. So the only thing that I could be able to see in a text message would be something. Sorry. Give me 1 second here. Okay, so okay, hold on a second. This is interesting, guys. This is interesting. Okay. Folks, I have the transcripts of those text messages from AppClose. So I have the transcript for those text messages for the spring break of 2020 exchange that is in question here in the deposition currently. So I'm going to go ahead and share that. Okay. All right. So Michael says, that's fine with me. Call Sophie's iPad. We're in the midst of moving madness. Always fun. You hear about the cases in Frisco today? Apparently one of them was a 3-year-old girl, first identified child in the U.S., according to what I read. This is 3/12/2020. 3:38 p.m. Kelly says, hey there. Given the amount of people probably traveling this weekend, but especially Sunday, would you be open to meeting on Saturday or earlier on Sunday? I just know it's been a busy week for you and the kids, and I want to be able to get them adjusted here before school Monday open to anything. Before school Monday open to anything. Michael responds at 3:43. Let me chat with Courtney and see what's planned for this weekend. It has been a busy week, and I was hoping to give them some time on the land before we left. I'll follow up with you as soon as I have clarity on this end. Also, I wanted to ask you something. Did Jack mention anything to you about them removing his friend from school because he was sick? Jack told me that it was because he had the virus. I believe the kid's name was Tanner, but I would need to double check on that. Kelly says, no, he didn't. The school has been pretty openly communicative, so I'm sure we would hear something. Jack's not usually the most reliable source of info. Kelly also says, I spoke too soon. Frisco ISD is extending spring break 1 week. I am WFH for the next few weeks. Working from home for the next few weeks. So not a problem at all. Just a heads up. So this is word for word how Ms. Lishman described the text. So I'm pleased to know that they're taking the necessary safety precautions to protect the children since spring break has been officially extended. It is my understanding that our visit would conclude the end of the designated period. So the new exchange day would now be Sunday, the 22nd at 5 p.m. Fortunately, we are prepared on this end with plenty of food, water, and necessary supplies. In fact, we will be planting a large garden this week to ensure that there's abundant food should access to grocery stores become a safety issue, as it has in other cities around the country. Perhaps it will serve as a great opportunity for the kids to learn about growing their own food. I hope y'all are well on your end. Please stay safe and reach out if you need anything. Wow. Kelly responds, I've consulted with my lawyer, Carter. We are to meet in Waco on Sunday, March 15th at 5 p.m. as ordered in our agreement. I realize you are interpreting a response to a pandemic differently than I was intended as spring break. If you are not there to return the kids, Carter will file a writ of attachment, and I will be in Como County on Monday to receive the kids from law enforcement. Michael Long says, I'm sorry for the delay. The reception on the land is rather poor unless I'm close to the router, so it wouldn't let me respond. I'm not sure how this escalated so quickly. You had told me spring break was extended, and I thought we had agreed that spring break was my designated visitation time. I was simply trying to confirm the new drop-off date with you. I had no idea it would upset you or be an issue at all. Like, you see what happens here, right, guys? Like, 1 minute she's just like, it's all good, you know? I'll be working from home. Like, and then out of nowhere, she decides she contacts her attorney, and all of a sudden it's a threat that, you know, I'm going to recover the kids from the cops. Like, what are you talking about? So Michael's just like, what just happened? I have no idea what happened. So he says, I'm not sure how this escalated so quickly. Okay, I already read that. I had no idea that it would upset you or be an issue at all. For the call tonight, please reach out to Courtney's phone. I'm en route back to the house, but I'm not sure I'll be there in time. Thanks for the heads up. I'll call Courtney tonight. Then plan to see y'all this Sunday at 5. Kelly responds. So Michael says, hi, Kelly. You are aware we have been in the process. This is on the 15th. This is on the 15th at 12:51 p.m. Hi, Kelly. As you're aware, we have been in the process of moving. It has taken much longer than expected, but the kids have been troopers. With the exception of the last details, we are finally transitioned out of my out to my family's property in Seguin. I think that's how you say it. The address as follows. I've had some time to reflect on our recent interactions. I'm really confused why you decided to involve legal counsel over our discussion about the spring break extension without any attempt at resolving it through open dialogue. I was under the impression that we had gotten to a place where we could find compromise even when we have different perspectives. I'm not sure what changed, but I would have certainly been open to hearing you out. I have been accommodating with almost every previous request to alter my visitation schedule. In fact, I just accommodated your request to move the start of my spring break visitation back from Friday to Saturday. I'd really like to discuss our current impasse. For the sake of mutual understanding, I'd also like to share a few points that are influencing my understanding. For starters, we have established agreements that apply to a wide array of topics concerning visitation as it applies to the spring break vacation and our current issues. I have located the following statement in our orders. Spring vacation in all years, every year, beginning at 6 p.m. on the day the child is released from school to the school's spring vacation and ending at 6 p.m. on the day before school resumes after that vacation. The statement seems very clear as to when I am obligated to return the kids from their spring break vacation. As I interpret it, I get them the evening of their release from school, and I return them the evening before they return back to school. An extension to their spring break vacation would only mean that those timetables after not the agreement itself. Do you interpret this differently? So, I mean, I totally get it. Like, I mean, I'm not going to say one way or the other, as far as what my opinion on that is. That's between the two of them. But I get where Michael's coming from completely. And I get where Kelly's coming from, honestly. I mean, so the planned date was a week, but because spring break was extended another week, Michael is basically going by the fine print of their agreement. And their agreement is the day before the vacation ends. So it's not on him that you know what I mean? Like spring break got extended 2 weeks. You know what I'm saying? They're not missing school. So the way he sees it, he's entitled to that time with the kids. And Kelly has a problem with it. But I also understand. I now here's the thing: I'm gonna kind of side with Michael on this one because of the text that she stated before. You know, she was like, "It's all good, not a problem." You know, like cool. And then out of nowhere, she comes back and fires back with, "I talked to my attorney, and if you don't have the kids ready by the original date, you know, I'm gonna have the cops pick them up." Like, wait a second. Whoa, where did this go? You know what I'm saying? So, like, I mean, I understand if the original agreed upon date, you know, okay, you know, that seems like Kelly might have had plans with the kids, you know, but she pretty much says it's not a problem in a previous text to all of this. You see what I'm saying? So that indicates to me that she didn't actually have any plans with the kids. So it doesn't hurt to let them spend another week with their dad. You know, I mean, I don't see the issue there. But like I said, I do get where Kelly's coming from. And so he repeats back the message. He copies and pastes her message saying, Frisco ISD is extending spring break 1 week. I am working from home for the next few weeks, so not a problem at all. Just a heads up. So, I mean, you know what I'm saying? So this 1 week, he says this 1 week extension, which I also verified on the Frisco ISD website after you wrote me, would alter the return time to say, okay, so we get all this. So he's basically going into deep detail here as to, and stating his case as to, well, then I get the kids another week. We don't need to go into all that. But I mean, I'll read it if you guys suspect that he's being in some way disrespectful or snarky, because I mean, I'm reading it. I don't see that. I'm trying to save time here. But Kelly responds, pet email from Frisco ISD, email and updated calendar. This is not an extension or meant to be one. It is an official school closing due to COVID-19. Therefore, I will see you in Waco, March 15th at 5 p.m. And he says, you told me on the 12th that spring break vacation was extended due to the situation. Please see your message above. So she's just stonewalling. He's trying to reason here. Please see your message above. I was already aware of their reasoning, and it was reflected on their website. We have planned our time around this extension visit already. Also, may I remind you, I gave up an extra day at the beginning of the break and have done so many times in the past to accommodate the activities you had planned for the children. Regardless of the reasoning, their spring break vacation has been extended. Having them stay a little extra time is not going to impact their schooling. At this point, I'm feeling like you simply don't want them to spend time with me or my family. And I see no rational reason why it's not in their best interest to spend a bit of time with their grandparents out on the land, enjoying nature and family. So who's the alienator here? How about we meet in the middle? I bring them back to you on Wednesday in Waco. Does that feel like a fair compromise? Kelly says she stonewalls. As I've stated multiple times since Friday, we will be in Waco to retrieve the kids at 5 p.m. today, March 15th. Wow, man. So Michael's like, Kelly, I have a right to have the kids per our agreement until the day before school is reinstated after they are released for spring break vacation, regardless of the circumstances. I am letting you know now, we will not be in Waco today. Since my attempt to be reasonable with you and meet in the middle isn't being received, despite the fact that I make exceptions for your schedule often, I will see you in Waco on the 22nd at 6 p.m. when my official visit with the kids ends per our legal agreement. If you still feel strongly about this, you can reach out to my lawyer tomorrow. You know the kids are safe here, and I have given you the new address. We will be enjoying family time and many fun activities for the kids out on the land. It's out in the country, so we are not concerned with any potential COVID-19 exposure. I will have all the necessary paperwork ready should you feel the need to send anyone out to the property. I am happy to have my lawyer speak with them as well. Kelly says, we are in Waco. She texts at 5:07. We are in Waco and you're not here. Can you please confirm where I can get the children this evening? Kelly goes on to say, please see attached from Judicial Court of Seguin and advise when and where I can get the children this evening. Wow, man. So basically, they're just not budging. Neither one of them are budging. So, I mean, I like I said, yeah, I don't want to like keep reading all of this because it's basically just it's a civil argument is what's going on here. And so it looks as though Michael agreed to bring the kids the next day. So he still ended up bending to her will. Let me go over chat here. I mean, right. Like, what? Dude, like, so who's the parental alienator here? You know what I'm saying? Like, the dude is, I get Kelly's point at the beginning, kind of, but he made a perfectly valid argument. Like, dude, what does it hurt to let me have the kids for a little while longer and let them spend time with their grandparents and enjoy nature? What is the problem? What is your problem with that? And she's just like totally cold, stone. I mean, hold on. So how is that not alienation? How is that not an attempt at it? How is that not evidence of how is that not evidence of potential alienation taking place, likely alienation taking place? She's basically just trying to deny this man time with his children and with their grandparents. See, that's ridiculous. Where is any evidence that Michael is abusive to these kids? Where's any evidence of that? That's my point. Nobody produces any evidence of this. They just go by the final thing that the court says, but there's nothing. How is that not a method of alienation? It's not just that black and white. It doesn't have to, it could be done through actions. It could be done through actions. Who's to say he doesn't get the kids don't go back and go, oh man, we wanted to spend more time with dad. And then she puts it on him and says, well, no, dad didn't want to spend that much time with you. Who's to say that doesn't happen? I mean, y'all are accusing him of it without any evidence of it. You see what I'm saying? Now, I'm not accusing Kelly of doing that. What I'm saying is it seems like an unnecessary punishment against Michael and using the kids to do it when it's not hurting anybody. They got extended. The spring break got extended from school. He's going by word for word what their agreement states until the school day. If the vacation was extended a week, then that means his time is extended a week. There's not clear evidence that that wasn't possible. There's not. What, the word of an officer saying on that phone call where he's trying to, the word of an officer trying to intercept a SANE exam from taking place, evidence taking place? Get real. That's not evidence. That guy also said that Sophie had like 11 SANE exams done, supposedly, right? I mean, that's not evidence, because that's a flat out lie. This guy flat out lied, and we listened to a recording of him doing it. A police officer. I mean, you got to use your eyes, people. No, see, Britt Brown, you're missing my point. What I'm saying is Michael is being accused of parental alienation, yet there's no evidence to even indicate that he's doing that. There's no evidence at all, none. And yet I'm showing you evidence that it could be coming from the other side. I'm giving you data and reason to believe that it's taking place on the other side. I'm not saying it is. I'm saying, look at it. And now, okay, you don't even believe in parental alienation. Okay, good. Now I know who I'm talking to. This is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about, people. Like, you either get people who have who say that there's evidence and never produce the evidence, right? They say that there's evidence and then they never produce the evidence. You see, you get this all the time, right? And then when they're cornered and they're told, "Hey, show us the evidence," then they throw a little hissy fit and start doxing people. Like, this is the behavior of who's representing this side of things. And all I'm trying to do is make sure that Michael gets his fair day in court. Because apparently he seems to be the only one that's advocating for Sophie. He seems to be the only one trying to protect her. So yes, I'm going to give him a platform. I'm going to give him a voice. What's up, Antimony? I mean, I'm showing data and I get doxxed multiple times throughout covering this case and talking about it. What does that tell you? What does that tell you? Now, just to clarify, guys, do you remember the video that I showed you where Sophie was just starting to show signs? And I played it at the end of the live stream. That was the exchange for the kids at the end of that spring break. So Sophie was crying and screaming that she did not want to go. And you heard her screaming from the car as they were driving away. So Sophie did not want to go back with her mom at this exchange. We saw video proof of that. She was afraid to go back with her mom. And here Kelly is stating that Sophie is texting her and telling her that she wants to go home to her house. but she can't produce those text messages for some reason. Yet we saw video evidence of Sophie refusing to go with her mom. And that's before the viral video even took place. I just don't understand how you can argue with this. You know what I mean? Like you reading the text messages. I mean, reading this deposition. I'm going to go on with the deposition. So Kelly says, hold on. Ms. Lishman says, so the only thing I would be able to see in a text message would be something about anxiety about a move and something about she didn't like being left with a babysitter. So Kelly says, and that she doesn't like that Michael is constantly smoking around them and it smells bad and the windows are down and she doesn't want, and she asks, that's in texts? And so Kelly says, yes. So she goes, okay, smoking. Okay. Is there anything else that would be in a text message that you haven't yet produced to me? Not that I can recall. And the rest you say is verbal conversation? Yes. Okay. And you said that you addressed it in the counseling. Did you not address it with Michael? I did not, Kelly says. Did not. Okay. So if your problem is with Michael, wouldn't it make more sense to address it with Michael? No. No. It made more sense for you to just call the lawyer about the spring break issue. I think a lot of people called their lawyers about the spring break issue. So yes, it felt appropriate. Slishman says, but you would agree with me. You made no attempt to address it with Michael first before you called your lawyer. No, I wanted to speak factually. Okay. And his reaction to you was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I was just going by what you told me. It was extended, he said. He said, whoa, whoa. He said, whoa, whoa, whoa. Kelly mocks her and asks, he said, whoa, whoa, whoa. And Miss Lishman says, I'm paraphrasing. Kelly says, okay. She's being all snarky, which, it makes sense that she would get defensive when she's cornered with this. So Lishman says, and what he said was, I was simply trying to confirm the new drop-off date with you. I had no idea that it would upset you or be an issue at all. That was his reaction, right? Now, guys, I showed you the transcript. You saw it for yourselves. Is this the one of the hearing of the, is this one of the harassing text messages that you were referring to? Kelly says, no. And I don't think that I responded in a way that was causing problems either. You read my response. It wasn't aggressive. And Kelly goes on, it was just, I talked to my lawyer. We were supposed to meet at Waco. Okay. Do you think that there's anything inherently aggressive when a parent says, here's our issue? I'm not going to talk to you about it. I'm just going to tell you what my lawyer is saying. Kelly responds and says, I think it's silly to be uneducated. So I didn't know the answer. When you don't know the answer, you ask somebody that does. And you don't think that it's an aggressive response to say, if you're not there to return the kids, Carter will file a writ of attachment and I will be in Como County on Monday to receive the kids from law enforcement. He says, I believe I said that after he had already told me he wasn't going to. That's actually not true. No, ma'am. This is the same message. Kelly says, okay. So Lishman says, an hour and 20 minutes after he said, oh, okay, I guess that you're not, that we're changing the exchange date. Hope y'all are well. An hour and 20 minutes later, that's your message. I consulted with my lawyer. If you're not there to return the kids, Carter will file a writ of attachment and I will be in Como County on Monday to receive the kids from law enforcement. Kelly says, okay. Lishman says, do you not see that's aggressive or threatening? Kelly says, I can see how it could come across that way. You could. Certainly wasn't my intent. What was your intent? To clarify where and when the exchange was supposed to take place based on information I had received to be factual. In the pandemic situation. And then 3 days later, 8 a.m. from you, we're on our way to Como County. You say Carter's working on the paperwork now. If we are unable to get them this morning. Had he responded back to me before that, Or she asks, had he responded back to me before that? Lichman answers, you said, yes, actually, we can. I mean, we can read the whole thing, but I'm just talking about 3 days later. Okay, so now it's 9:07. You said you could also do 11:30. Let me know what's easier for you. I know there's a lot going on, which is why we're meeting you directly instead of having y'all drive to Waco. That was 9:07. 4 minutes later at 9:11, you said this is 4 minutes later with no response. My lawyer has advised me we show up anyway, and she will file as needed if we don't get the kids. So do you find that to be a little bit threatening? Kelly answers, I find the way you said it to be threatening, but that's certainly not how it was and how I intended it. What? Lichman says, well, tell me. Hold on. Sorry, guys. Jerry K, get her. Now, actually, guys, I will read you something regarding that. Okay, so I messaged Michael. By the way, please do everything in your power to get me your deposition as well. It will very much help the narrative that you're as forthcoming as you are. And so he responded, regarding the deposition, I don't have a copy of it. I've reached out to prior counsel to see if they ever received a copy, but I have not received any confirmation yet. The only other option may be to figure out who the stenographer was that day and purchase a copy, which comes down to a matter of cost. Not exactly sitting flush at the moment. I'll happily send it along to you as soon as I have it. So that's from Michael to me. So it sounds to me like he has every intention of sharing his deposition. He just doesn't have access to it at the moment, as I stated before. And as you can see, I'm trying to get him to produce that for me. So I don't have a problem sharing it. I just don't have it. And if it was available, I'm sure one of these trash channels would be sharing it already. So, it's I can only do what I can do, guys. Now, all right, man. I'm telling you, don't mess around in the chat, man. Cherry K will get you. Don't mess around in there. All right. Okay, so Lichman says, well, tell me what tone you intended this in. Kelly says, I intended it to be because he disagreed with me, as you can see in his response to me. I don't see the disagreement because he responded 4 minutes later. He said, we were sleeping, Kelly, 11:30 will be fine. Kelly says, oh no, there were text messages between when I told him the exchange was supposed to be on Sunday and what you were saying. There were text messages in between that. Lichman says, so you don't think that you were overreacting at all? Kelly says, no. Okay, and you think it would have been superior for your kids to be removed from the home by law enforcement than to spend a few extra days with Michael? Great question. Kelly says, I was just trying to follow what my lawyer told me. Ms. Lichman says, and I'm just going to object as non-responsive because that wasn't my question. Ms. Lichman says, my question was, do you think it would have been better for your kids to be ripped out of the home by law enforcement as opposed to just letting them hang out with Michael for a few extra days? Kelly says, law enforcement can't rip kids away, so no, that wouldn't have happened, even though she threatened it. Richmond says, do you know what a writ of attachment is? She said, I didn't at the time. I was just repeating what my lawyer told me. You're saying that, but you specifically say, I'll file a writ of attachment. Kelly says, uh-huh. And I'll receive the kids from law enforcement. Kelly says, that's how I thought it worked. Right. That is how it works. So back to my original question. Do you think it was better for your kids to be ripped away by law enforcement or just let them hang tight for a few extra days with Michael? Kelly says, I think it would have been better for them to be returned per schedule. Wow. So she's even stonewalling here in the deposition. Like, come on, guys. It's like, I mean, if you can't see what's going on here, so Ms. Lishman says, okay, I'm going to object as non-responsive again, because that's not the question I'm asking you. Lishman says, do you need me to repeat it again? Kelly says, yes. Okay. Do you think it would be better for your kids, for law enforcement to go rip them away or just let them hang out with for a few days with Michael? I don't know. What? Okay, March the 13th, when all this happened, you had called your lawyer. You also put in a call to Frisco Police Department. Do you remember that? Tell me more. No. You don't recall? Would it refresh your memory to play the recording? Yes. Okay. I don't know if I already played this or not. So Ms. Lishman says, so did that help refresh your memory after she played the recording that you were calling about custody agreements? Yes. Okay. You asked to get information about issuing an Amber Alert. I did play that, guys. I did play that a few nights ago. So you asked about information about issuing an Amber Alert. You knew at the time where Michael and the kids were. Like, why would you need information at that time about issuing an Amber Alert? Kelly says, I have always. Now, remember the text messages, guys. He shares the address. He shares the address of where they are. He's not trying to hide. Yet Kelly tries to issue an Amber Alert back then. Interesting. Kelly's answer is, I have always had concerns about Michael's mental health. Interesting. And I wanted to educate myself on what police are able to do, what attorneys are able to do. It was an informative phone call because at the time I didn't realize what she had informed me of, obviously. Okay, so my question is, why are you taking steps and positioning yourself to escalate the situation? Because I have PTSD from Michael, she says, and the ongoing allegations and accusations that he's made against me since we've been divorced and before. Routson says, could we take a quick break? Is that all right? Richmond says, sure, okay. I'm going to keep going for a while, guys, but I'm going to look at chat. So, I mean, what's everybody's take on this right now? I mean, all right, I'm going to go ahead. I'm actually going to go ahead and replay it, because why not? All right.
Frisco Police, this is Lindsay. Hi, I was just calling to ask if there was somebody I could talk to about how you guys are going to be enforcing spring break agreements given the school closings, like custody agreements.
I mean, we don't enforce custody agreements, we are there to ensure that, custody exchange goes peacefully and that nothing becomes violent, but we don't enforce any custody issues. That would be up to the court.
So somebody can not turn the kid over and you guys don't have any authority to, even if it's written in a court document?
Yeah, that's right, because it's a civil matter and we only investigate criminal matters.
Wait. So I could just keep my kids and you guys could show up, but you couldn't make me turn the kids over?
That's correct. We cannot enforce custody agreements.
She sounds so disappointed that she can't use the law.
That's correct, because it's a civil matter.
Use law enforcement as a weapon
where things become violent,
against her ex.
Or there's an order assigned by a judge where it's like you have to have an officer present in order for...
If my ex-husband has taken my kids and told me that they're going to live in a trailer in the woods because the world is ending, I can't... You guys can't help me?
And there's no text messages of this. There's no evidence of this.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I can't call the police and say my husband has stolen my kids.
It's going to be a civil matter, so we cannot enforce custody matters.
Crazy. How do Amber Alerts, when parents steal them, how does that happen?
I'm not an officer, but there are certain requirements that have to be met as stipulated by the state.
Okay, how can I find out what those are?
Wow.
I can have an officer.
That's unbelievable, man.
That would be great. Kelly.
What's your last name?
Long.
And a phone number for you?
210-518.
All right. Yeah. I mean...
All right. Like I said, I'll have an officer call you. It'll show up as a blocked or private number. He's got a call going on right now, but whenever he's done, he'll give you a shout.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Dude, like, what do you need to understand what is happening here? Basically, Michael has a warrant out for his arrest because he doesn't have representation. Basically, that's what it boils down to. All right, so Ms. Lishman says, end of spring break. That was March 15th when you got the kids back. That's when Sophie had this really extreme reaction, which I played that video for you guys the other night. I mean, is that a fair way for me to describe it? Kelly says, it wasn't the first time, but yes. Interesting. It was not the first time that she had this reaction when she was going back home to you? Kelly says, correct. When did she have a reaction like that? Kelly says she had always had a difficult time leaving Michael, especially considering that she feels he doesn't spend adequate time with her. So your explanation from your viewpoint is that the reason why she's reacting like that is because Michael doesn't spend time with her. I think that's part of it, Kelly says. Okay, so you place the blame at Michael's feet for that, a part of it. Okay, what's the other part? The adults were arguing in the video. If you've watched the whole thing, it was pretty tension-filled exchange, and I can understand why a kid would have an emotional reaction to it. That's not how I saw it. Was it a tense exchange because you had threatened to get a writ of attachment and issue an Amber Alert? Gilly says it was tense exchange because I was blocked off of the property and asked to remove myself from the property. Okay, we did see the video of that, but we also saw a video of Michael trying to reason with Sophie to get her to go. So right here, now we saw the video, guys. I don't want to see Sophie go through that again. I don't, but if you remember the video, I mean, what she's trying to do here in this deposition, Kelly's trying to say that the reason why Sophie was behaving that way is because Michael was refusing to allow her on the property, was refusing to allow Kelly on the property. Which we saw simply just wasn't the case. Oh yeah, no, she's totally gaslighting. Totally. And Lishman's doing a fantastic job of pointing it out too. Okay, so none of that was Kelly's fault. That was all Michael's fault, Lishman says. Kelly says he hadn't returned the kids as he was supposed to, and I was picking them up. Okay, so is it all Michael's fault? Like that had everything to do with Michael and nothing to do with you? No. No what? It's not all Michael's fault. I'm sure I could have handled myself better. Okay, we all make mistakes. Kelly says, and Lishman says, in what way? Kelly says, perhaps I could have remained calmer when, when I got there. Perhaps I could have, said things differently. I mean, looking back retrospectively, I think we can all make those statements about our behavior. Do you think it would have been calmer if you had just talked it out with Michael instead of calling up lawyers? No, because I wasn't informed on the facts. What? Okay, so Sophie reported when she got home, Jake broke her iPad or her tablet. Was it an iPad or a tablet? It was an iPad, Kelly says. And she never said that to me. And it was not broken by Jake. How did it get broken? It's not broken. Okay. Sophie also reported that you and Jake were making comments about how Michael had brainwashed her. Is that true? I don't recall. What does brainwashing mean to you? I mean, what do you think that Michael did that spring break? I don't know. I don't recall the conversation. Okay. Do you have any evidence that Michael did something to make Sophie have that reaction other than what you talked to me about already? Kelly says no. Interesting. So Lishman says no. Okay. So have you ever considered any alternative theories for Sophie's reaction that day? Considering it wasn't the first time she reacted that way? No. Have you ever considered that maybe being interviewed multiple times by CPS and multiple 911 phone calls, fighting in your home, the car incident, and these other claims or these other incidents that we've already gone over, that maybe some of that would be contributing to her behavior? No, Kelly says. No. Contrast that with Michael's environment that he was creating there where, there was kind of this optimism where they were putting together a garden, kind of, a little adventure for them. Do you see how the two environments are contrasting? Routes and objects form. Kelly says that's not the environment I observed. So no, they're not contrasting. Lishman says, and would it be fair to say that Sophie wouldn't necessarily want to leave Dad's environment to go back into your environment where there is the CPS and the 911 and the issues with Jake, right? No, Kelly says. That never crossed your mind. No. Okay. The kid's counselor. What did you say her name was? Kayla. Is that it, Kayla? Okay, she confirms the last name. Yes. Did you ever mention to Kayla? Well, let me ask you. What was the presenting issue? When you brought the kids into Kayla, you said, to see Kayla, you said, I'm bringing my kids for counseling. Why? Kelly said a whole multitude of reasons. Lishman says, okay, let's talk about them. What did you tell Kayla was the presenting issues? From what I recall, it was the kids having been through a traumatic year with my dad dying, with Mowgli being born, with CPS being there and interviewing them. And I wanted to make sure that their emotional well-being was being looked after, which I, informed Michael of and got his consent for. Okay. So do you specifically remember letting Kayla know that there had been CPS involvement? Yes. Okay. And the trauma that you expressed to Kayla had to do with them being interviewed, not the underlying reason why they were being interviewed, right? Yes. You didn't mention to him, you didn't mention to Kayla that the reason why CPS was involved was because of allegations of family violence between you and Jake happening in their presence? He says, yes, I did. Oh, you did? I think I did. Uh-huh. I don't really recall the whole conversation, Kelly says. Okay. Was it verbal or was this in writing or some intake paperwork? It was verbal, Kelly says. Of course it's verbal. Okay. Do you have to fill out any forms for her where you had to kind of, had list these kinds of things out in a written document? I don't recall, Kelly says. You don't recall. Okay. Following that incident with Michael over spring break, Michael did not file a modification, did he? No. At that time, no. Not on that basis. He didn't go trying to get like a TRO to keep the kids from you. Kelly says no. Any of the incidents where Sophie was, hey, can we just please not make gestures at the deponent? Okay. So Lishman tells Routson not to make gestures. Routson says, I wasn't making. Lishman says, oh, okay. Routson says, but I will. And then Kelly says, there's a fly that's been flying around. Lishman says, is that what that is? Kelly says, so I'm assuming that's what. All right. Hold on. Let me. Let me pull this up. Okay, so there is a screenshot here of a text message exchange between Michael and Sophie. Sophie says, Hatch. Michael says, Hatch who? He said you brainwashed us. Everything say that is the truth. Mr. Jake just mumbles under his voice. Yeah, right. Daddy, where are you? I love you and we really miss you. Bless you. I love you so much, Sophie. You know what is true when someone is lying to you. Trust yourself, my love. Bless you too. Wow. Yeah, this guy sounds really detrimental to these kids, dude. Unbelievable, man. Okay, so Richmond says, okay, so any of these times where Sophie has this reaction to not wanting to leave Michael and go back to you, he hasn't capitalized on that to segue that into some sort of custody case against you, has he? He has now, yes, Kelly says. He has now. I'm saying in the past with these things in the moment, I doubt one incident would make a case, so no. Right. Okay, so it would be fair to say that at all the relevant times, Michael was basically giving you the benefit of the doubt with the CPS investigations that he was aware of, right? It appears, yes. Right. Now in April of this year, and you call up Michael and you say, I don't know if you've called him or it was an AppClose. You tell me. But you asked him to skip his Easter visit and tack it on to the end of summer because you were concerned about traveling during COVID. Do you remember that? Kelly says, yes. And that's not exactly what I said. I know it's not a verbatim quote. I'm just saying that was the crux of the kind of like the gist of it, right? Kelly says, I put the decision in his hands. You asked him. Kelly says, to make a choice. And he did, right? He said, sure, I'll do that. I'll accommodate you. I'll forego the visit and tack it on to the summer, right? Kelly says, no, he didn't agree. Kelly says, no, it was not stated that way. It was his choice. I didn't propose one way or the other. I said, it's your choice. I don't mind either way. Okay. So you gave him a choice. It wasn't a request in your remembrance. It wasn't you asking for it. He wasn't doing you a favor. It was a choice that you gave him and he opted to do that. Yes. Is that how you remember it? Yes. Okay. And so does that sound to you like someone who is trying to brainwash kids if he's voluntarily foregoing a visit? I mean, wouldn't you think somebody who is trying to brainwash kids would want as much access to them as possible? Not necessarily, Kelly says. Okay. So do you think at this time he was trying to brainwash Sophie or any of the other kids. Kelly says, I don't know that I've testified that I ever said that or talked to him or talked about him brainwashing them at that point. Right. I'm asking you now, do you think that he was at that time? Kelly says, I don't know. You have no opinion about that. Kelly says, I have suspicions, but I can't confirm anything. Lishman says, okay. And do you have any evidence that something like that was going on? No. Okay. And this might be some evidence that was not going on because he was saying, sure, I'll skip a visit, right? That was his choice. Yes. Right. Okay. And the basis of that choice that you were putting to him was concerns about travel during the pandemic, right? Kelly says, yes. Okay. And this is April of 2020. So you're saying, hey, there's concerns about the kids maybe not going to Seguin, but you didn't have concerns about COVID to take them to Oklahoma, right? I did. Okay. Did COVID not make its way to Oklahoma? Boise City. Oklahoma has had no COVID cases that I'm aware of, actually, at all. I seriously doubt that, but okay. So you did research and you found that Seguin was less safe than Oklahoma. No. Okay. So at the time, you just said they've had less cases. So you didn't know that at the time that you decided to go to Oklahoma, what their case count was. No, I hadn't talked to Nana about it. Okay. And you decided that it was safer to go to Oklahoma than for the kids to go to Seguin. No, I hadn't. No, I wasn't choosing Oklahoma over Seguin. Okay. And the impetus, I don't know that word, for that trip, what was it? I'm guessing that translates to reason, the purpose. I had received Kelly says I had received some information that perhaps Jake was having an outside relationship. And rather than have it be, an argument or something that might get contentious, I decided to go to his Nana's on her property and just spend a week there with the kids and kind of get my thoughts straight to eliminate any potential conflict. Like, does she hear herself? Crazy. It's crazy to me. Was that before or after you had put the choice to Michael about the Easter visit? It was after. And let me ask you this. Did it not occur to you to call up Michael and say, hey, on second thought, I'm going through some personal stuff. You keep the kids. I need, to get some space. Kelly says, I already had the kids back at that point, so no. Okay, but that's not my question. I mean, it sounds like you were going through a difficult time in your relationship. So difficult, so much so that you felt the need to just not even be home, right? I still wanted to spend time with my kids, and we had a great time out there, and it didn't affect or impact them. Richmond says, and you did not clue Michael in to anything that was going on, right? Kelly says, I did. When did you do that? A day after when we were still in Dallas. He called CPS when we were still in Dallas, so everybody was aware. Mike, and that's a little non-responsive, so maybe I didn't ask the question right. Okay. A real simple question. When did you tell Michael, okay, me and the kids aren't going to be home. We're going to X destination. The Friday we left, Kelly says. And what did you tell him on the Friday that you left? Kelly says that we were going to stay at Nana's for a little while. And how did you tell him that? In AppClose. Okay. And what was his response? At that point, he had already called CPS. Okay. His response was, I don't remember what his response was. 1 second. All right. All right, let me share this. This is the text message exchange from AppClose regarding the switching up of summer of the Easter visit to summer. So I'm going to go ahead and read that. Kelly says, "Hi, I'm starting to get a bit anxious about taking them out. Doubtful we can avoid gas station bathrooms, etc. We have gloves and masks. I assume you will have some for them as well. I just wanted to offer if you think it would be best to have you save these days and tack them on over the summer at a different time when this is calmed down. If not, no biggie. Just thought I would offer given current situation." Michael responds with, "I can understand your anxiety about taking them out. I have concerns as well. I'm acceptable to adding these days onto the summer visit, given the circumstances. Are we planning to start the summer break at the normal time, or would you like to adjust it? Based on what I'm hearing, it doesn't sound like school is going to be starting back up this year. Do you think we should discuss this decision with the kids on a call?" Kelly says, "Hi, yes, I haven't thought much past this month at the moment, since I have no idea what the world is going to look like on the other side of this or when that will be. We might just have to take it a couple of weeks at a time, but I do commit to finding the days into the schedule somehow at the beginning and whatever, depending on how all this pans out in the coming months. I would suggest we hop on a FaceTime, talk to them about it sometime this afternoon, since we won't be getting into the car." Okay. 3:30. Okay, I'll call it 3:30 so that we can discuss it with them. Are you all feeling prepared and comfortable where you're at? I mean, the dude is like even asking, like, is everything cool? Are you good? Okay. Shall we continue? So just help me understand the timeline because I'm a little confused, okay? Here, let me do it this way. Kelly says, "Do you want me to tell you what happened?" Lishman says, "April the 29th, there's a FaceTime." Yes. Okay. And according to Michael, at least how it was related in the CPS records, he saw the kids' bags packed. He knows that the house they're in isn't your house, and that Sophie was on the FaceTime with him saying that there was a fight between you and Jake, and there was a secret. And she was trying to tell Michael the address of where they were. And that you took the phone away and refused to say, "Hey, this is where we are and what's going on." Is that accurate or not accurate? Kelly says, "I can't speak to what Sophie said because I didn't record it or observe it." She says, Lishman says, "Do you remember the FaceTime on April the 29th? Kelly says, "Yes." "And by then, had you told Michael any information about what was going on?" "We were still in Dallas and I hadn't decided what our plans were, so no." "You hadn't decided, but your kids' bags were packed and you weren't home." "We were at his aunt's in Dallas and I was, told them we were going to stay there for maybe a night while I thought through things." Lishman says, "And so the answer to the question would be no. You hadn't told Michael anything about that, right?" "No." Okay. So from Michael's perspective, he doesn't have the information from you at this time. And did he ask you for the information? Kelly says, "Yes." "And you didn't give it to him on April the 29th, did you?" Kelly says, "I told him we were at Aunt Kara's." "Okay. Did you ask for the address?" "No." "Okay. And then did you give him any other context for what was going on?" "No." "Okay. And do you believe, if the roles were reversed at that point in time, we're still on April the 29th. The roles are reversed. If Michael has the kids and he hasn't told you anything that's going on, but you see bags packed, there's a strange location that's unfamiliar to you. Your child is talking to you about having a secret and that there's been fighting. Let's say Michael and Courtney have had a fight, a huge fight, and she's trying to tell you where this is, where we are. And Michael comes in and takes the phone away. If that's you, do you think that, what would your reaction be to something like that? Would you think that everything would be fine? I mean, Kelly says, I mean, if it had all happened like that, I would of course be outraged. Okay, so at this point, do you know that Michael had called the Frisco PD to do a welfare check at your home? Did you know that? No. Okay, so he did that first and finds out that you guys are not in your home, and then he calls CPS to find out, what the deal is, right? I guess I'd already told him we were at Aunt Kara's. Does he know who Aunt Kara is? Kelly says, I said it was Jake's aunt. Mr. Routson says, is that you? And Kelly says, and that we were in the DFW area. Lishman says, Jake's aunt, DFW area. That's all. From what I can recall, Kelly says. Okay, so now this is all opening up the CPS case number 3, right? And well, actually, I'm not sure, because wasn't there another CPS investigation in early March, like March 6th? There was another intake for you in Jake's fighting and family violence? Kelly says, not that I'm aware of. Yeah, somewhere in the record. Hold on. This might be the 4th one. Kelly says, then I believe you. She says, Lishman says, well, we'll get back to that. I'm almost certain March the 6th. Okay, so either the 3rd or 4th CPS case, depending on how you look at it. And this time Michael has called in. It's April the 30th. Case gets opened on May the 1st. Do you know how long that investigation went on? She says, no. Would it surprise you that it was opened on the 1st and they completed the investigation on the 14th? Kelly says, I don't know. Doesn't that sound much shorter than the other 2 or 3 investigations that you had gone through in the past? Kelly says, if that's when it was opened and closed, yes, that is shorter. Right. So it says intake received April 30th, 2020, investigation initiated May 1st, 2020, investigation completed May 14th, 2020. He says that would tell me there probably wasn't anything for them to continue investigating if they closed it. And that was Rita again. Do you remember? Yes, because she called you on May the 1st. Do you remember that? I did. I was still in Dallas. And you told her you didn't really have any intention of letting Michael know where you or the kids were and what was going on. Do you remember that? Kelly says no, conveniently. Kelly says, I don't recall the exact conversation. Of course she says that. I know she asked to come out and see the kids, and I said, come on out. But you don't remember telling her that you were intentionally not telling Michael what was going on or where you were. You didn't want him to know about the things going on in your personal life. Do you remember that? It sounds familiar. And given the messages that he had been sending me requesting information about on my personal life, I could believe that I said I don't want him to know about my personal life. I don't remember refusing him. I don't remember refusing to say where we were going, because I provided that address to my lawyers and to CPS. So you were justified, she asks. In what? Kelly asks, in what? Richmond says, that's what you're saying. You were justified in not wanting to share that information with him. My personal life? Just the context of what was going on and why you were traveling and where the kids were. I don't think it's necessary to disclose to my ex-husband, who I've had a tumultuous relationship and a psychologically abusive relationship, that my current fiance had potentially cheated on me. No, I don't think that's information he needs to know. Okay, so back to my question though. You feel you were justified? No, not justified. Okay, I'll leave it. I'll leave that one. You were asked on May the 1st if CPS could interview your kids. Do you know what you said? Kelly said no. You said no. And you said you can see them, you just can't talk to them or ask them any questions. Do you remember that? Kelly says no. So this would be yet another example of CPS asking to do things to further their investigation and you not really being cooperative, isn't it? Kelly says no. They came out and saw the kids and took pictures of them. Kelly says, okay, let me ask you this. Are you sure that they took pictures that day? Yes. Okay, let me ask you this. This is May 1st, 2020. She says the address, and that's where you were. Yes. Okay. And you remember that Rita said that you needed to tell. I'll just read it. I told her, meaning you, that she needs to tell. Now, this is Rita's report. Rita from CPS. I told her, meaning Kelly, that she needs to tell the children's father, meaning Michael, what's going on. And then you said that she stated things are impossible with Michael right now. Kelly stated that dad lives with his parents and there's always drama with them. She had told Michael where the children are. She doesn't want him to know her personal life. She stated that Michael is a narcissist. Of course she did. So you're basically saying you're not going to tell. She's telling you need to tell Michael what's going on. And your response to that is, I'm not going to do it. He's a narcissist, Kelly says. Right? My response was, I don't want to share my personal life with my ex-husband, which I think is justified. Okay. And then you said you will talk to Michael about what happened with Jake. So you made this pledge on May the 1st. And then Kelly says, yes. Okay. And then she said, tell the kid's father what's going on. And then you said you would. Do you have a right to know where your children are? Kelly says, yes. Okay. Does Michael have a duty to let you know where your kids are and what's going on? Kelly says, when it's requested, yes. Okay. And I'm talking about, when I say what's going on, I mean things that are pertinent to their welfare. Yes. And how did you decide to leave Copper Canyon and go to Oklahoma? How did I decide? Yeah. You responded, you represented to me in your testimony that you couldn't tell Michael because you hadn't made your decision yet. I couldn't tell Michael because, one, I didn't want him to know my personal life. And two, I hadn't decided if we were going to go to Oklahoma. I hear you. And so my question is, when did you decide? Let's leave. He says, I guess at some point a couple of days later. When did you leave? On Friday, after speaking with CPS. Friday, May the 1st. Yes. Did you let CPS know you were leaving the state with the kids? Yes. Okay. Did you let Michael know that you were leaving the state with the kids? She says, yes. When did you let him know that? That day. How did you let him know? In AppClose. Because on May 4th, there is I'll have to go back and look in AppClose because I don't remember that at all. Are you certain that you put it? Are you certain that you put that in AppClose? Kelly says, yes. Okay. May the 4th, there's another FaceTime. Now you're at Nana's house in Oklahoma, right? Yes. And he knows where we are because we've had multiple AppClose discussions from during that time period. Are you certain of that? Yes. And you don't think that you were being cryptic at the time with Michael? I had provided the address to CPS and to my attorneys. Lishman says, objection, non-responsive. I'm asking about Michael. I'm not talking about what you told people that aren't the father of your children. I believe I did. Yes. You believe you did, or you're certain? I believe I did. Okay, but you're not certain. I believe I did. Who is Dan Wayne blank? Jake's uncle. Where does he live? In Dallas. Have you ever met him? Yes. When did you meet him? Sometime after Jake and I started dating. Was he at the family dinner a few nights ago? No. And what's your, communication with him at this point? Do you have any contact with him? No. Has he been around the kids? No. Okay. Who is Christopher blank? I don't know. Okay. You let CPS know on May the 6th that you were on your way back to Frisco. That's in the CPS records. Did you also let Michael know that you were on your way back? Kelly says, I remember telling him when we were either on our way back or had gotten back that day. Yes. Lishman says, and how would you have let him know that? In AppClose, Kelly responds. You're certain? Yeah. Okay. May the 7th. There's another phone call with Rita. She's talking to you about the prior cases. You tell her the problem in the first case was that Meredith was threatening you. Do you remember that? The investigator, Meredith, came to her house threatening her, so she was going to remove the children from her care. So now that first case is Meredith's problem, right? No. And this is interesting. Rita asks you, do you think that a family team meeting would be helpful? And this is what you say. You said that you did not believe that it was necessary because you and Jake were fine. Do you remember that? Kelly says, I don't know what a family team meeting with CPS is. Perhaps I should have asked her to explain more. Yeah. But here we're talking not about an issue with Mowgli. We're really talking about an issue with, in this case, it's about a report that Michael made, right? Yes, I think that's the one we're in. So a family meeting would be with Michael, not with Jake, right? She says, I guess. Okay, but you took that to mean a family meeting with Jake, right? I don't know how I took it because I don't remember the conversation. Kayla was contacted in that third or fourth investigation, and it was reported that kids started seeing her in January of 2020. She said she sees the kids once a month, and so I had earlier asked you like how frequently they were seen, and I believe you said weekly or biweekly. I wonder. Kelly says I would still stand behind that statement. Okay, based on the dates that she sent me. So is Kayla just mistaken when she was talking to CPS? Sure, we all mistake things. CPS asked you for a release on May the 8th. Do you remember that? Kelly says no. Is Kayla the only therapist that you've enlisted for the kids since August of 2017? She says yes. Okay. And so she saw them January to March, and that was it? She says yes. All right. All right. I'm going to stop it at 181. Yeah, I mean, she's like, it's painfully obvious based on her testimony here. She's not cooperative with CPS at all. So I'm on page 182, and I know I'll forget that. I'm on page 182. But yeah, man, guys, I'm just, it's shocking, really. It's just shocking. Like this is clearly an abusive person who is claiming that the other party is abusive to justify her abuse in her own mind. I mean, why would she threaten to have law enforcement remove the kids? It just doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah, like I'm just in shock. I mean, like I didn't realize to what degree that this was happening. I just didn't realize to what degree. Yeah, I mean, she's clearly got a tumultuous. I don't know why I can't say that word. She has her relationship with Jake has issues. Let's say that. And I mean, we heard the 911 calls, people. We heard this dude screaming in the kids' faces that the mother is a whore. And she's sitting up here acting like this stuff didn't happen. She's sitting up here acting like right. That's where I'm at. That's exactly where I'm at. I don't understand. I don't understand what the court's doing, man. Like, there's something seriously wrong. There's something seriously wrong here. Like, parental alienation is not coming from Michael. It's just not. Yeah, she blames him for everything. And you can always tell when somebody just refuses to take any accountability for anything. Yeah, absolutely. She's very calculating in her attempts to deflect, deceive, and gaslight. Her desire to win has overtaken her desire to be a good mother. That's my opinion too. That's where I'm at on that. I mean, like, I don't understand how, like, you just look at the behavior of the people on YouTube that are going to bat for her, on top of listening to this and, you know, reading these text messages. Basically because he doesn't have representation, because he can't have, he's spent all the GoFundMe money on attorneys, and he can't afford an attorney right now. So he's dealing with this pro se, and it's very difficult. And the poor guy, I mean, I noticed that he filed he filed his request for a jury trial wrong. I mean, the case number is accurate, but he stated the wrong case. The guy is dealing with two custody fights right now. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, well, that's the whole thing, Nacho Cheese Fries, is that's basically the point of what I'm doing here, is I'm showing you that there's something seriously wrong with the court's recent decisions. I'm showing you proof that there's something seriously wrong with the court's most recent decisions. Questions need to be asked. Yeah, that's it, man. I mean, dude, yeah, I'd have been screwed if I didn't have an attorney. I'd have been screwed. And then my son would have ended up in an abusive environment. He would have remained in an abusive environment. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's corruption, but there's definitely something unethical going on. You got to remember, he had two attorneys. How much do you think it costs for two attorneys? Yeah, it's super sketch, dude. It's super sketch. Like, it's crazy to me that this is happening, and nobody is seeing how sketchy it is. Like, now, I don't want to jinx it, you know, knock on wood, but there's definitely right now what's going on. The latest thing is we're trying to get some more we're trying to get some mainstream media attention on this, and we're trying to get a much larger YouTube channel. A much larger YouTube channel has recently, and I'm talking like million subscriber YouTube channel. They are oh, please. Yeah, no, absolutely. Share this everywhere. I thought you guys already were. Share these videos everywhere, man. Make people aware. And I know, and I realize a lot of people just feel like, hey, this is a private family issue and nobody should be talking about it. And this is going to affect Sophie in the long run. But what I worry about, Sophie, yeah, as far as that one creator that I was just talking about before I continue, he's willing to take a look at all of the evidence. That's where we're at right now. It's just a question of Michael reaching out to him and then him reviewing all of the data, and then we'll see if he decides to take it on. But I'm really hoping that he does, because this needs more attention. This needs more attention. Michael's rights are clearly being violated, and I have every reason to think that Sophie is in danger in that environment with her mother, because she's deflecting and dodging questions. She's just and just acting really shady when it comes to the Jake situation. And I have every reason to believe that the environment, that any environment with Jake is not good for kids, based on everything that we know. Yeah. So hopefully that happens. And there's somebody, hopefully, we're trying to get the attention of a particular local Dallas news anchor. Because the thing is the risk of this just being a private family matter makes people not want to touch it, which I get. But the problem is that there's too much damning evidence that Sophie's claims could very well be true. Now it's just quite possible. It's quite possible that Kelly's the way that she's behaving towards this is just reaction. Maybe, but I'm not seeing any evidence of that. I'm seeing nothing but shadiness on her end. And then the people that defend her on YouTube are the worst of the worst. You know what I mean? Like, right. Like, this is all about hurting Michael. I mean, all of her actions dictate this, is what it seems like. And it's just funny because Michael has not accused Kelly or Jake of anything. He's merely reiterating what Sophie has come to him with. These are Sophie's claims, nobody else's. These are Sophie's claims. These are the boys' claims that there's abuse in the house. Oh, yeah, man. I realize that. I mean, I'm already being doxxed, Why? Why do they want me to shut up so bad? Why does somebody who's accused of sexually harassing children, why would that person want me to shut up so bad? Exactly. Because I'm showing evidence. I'm showing evidence that dictate questions need to be asked. And I don't blame other creators for dropping this. I don't. Look at the extent that these people go to keep people quiet. You know, I don't blame other creators who have something to lose. I understand it. You know, there's just so much. There's so much BS to deal with. So what they try to do is bully you with intimidation that we're going to we're going to contact your job and we're going to get you fired. And you know what I mean? There's just all this bullying and intimidation to get to get people to not talk about this and show this proof. And sorry, but I'm just going to continue doing it. I appreciate you guys listening, man. I appreciate you guys taking an interest and watching and listening with an open mind, because that's all I'm doing is showing evidence. That's all I'm doing. I mean, yeah, of course you got to have tough skin. Of course you got to have tough skin. You know? Yeah, I mean, they're the deeper I get, the nastier they're gonna get. Yeah, I hope so too. I really, I mean, I would never presume to tell Ken what he should or shouldn't do. Um, but I'm not gonna lie. I hope he does. I hope he slaps Critical K with a nasty lawsuit. I hope so. Yeah, somebody's profiting off of this. This, you know what I mean? Like somebody's profiting off of this for sure. Um, and you know, I mean, what's funny is they're gonna have to they're gonna have to worry about bigger things than me. You know, they're gonna have to worry about bigger things than me. Um, you know, with my little 8,500 subscribers, they're gonna have to worry about bigger things than me. If mainstream media ends up picking this up, that's the ball I'm trying to get rolling. Yeah, and the thing is custody battles they take a long time. You know, family court takes a long time. Um, um, Louisiana girl, maybe. You know, maybe. I mean, yeah, like I'd be willing to put up money for that too. Because I am truly of the belief that it's just basically going to consist of accusing him of being an end of the world flat earther nut job. You know, that's what that. You know, so I mean, and I don't have a problem showing that because we've seen Michael talk for hours and hours and hours, and yes, Michael likes to talk, but I haven't heard anything crazy. I haven't heard anything crazy come out of his mouth. You know, I don't think it's a sin to enjoy the sound of your own voice. You know, I mean, it's something that can't be denied when making the observation of Michael. But if you look at what he says, it's all positive. You know, what's wrong with teaching the kids that? What's wrong with the place where it's coming from? So you know what I mean? Like, I mean, that's a possibility, man. And it would be his stepdad, actually. Yeah, I mean, the kids are clearly happy when they're with him. Like, something seriously wrong when the mother is just like, I'm taking these kids from you. Everything is aggressive. Everything with her seems aggressive. So something is seriously wrong when a child screams out and flat out refuses to go unless taken by force to the environment that her own mother provides her with. And something seriously wrong with that mother if she doesn't like respect that, you know, like, shit. Okay, well, I'll have to figure something out. I've got to figure out a way to build my relationship with my child without forcing it on her, because she's not winning Sophie's heart in any way, shape, or form in the actions that she's taking at all. I mean, there's no denying that she's going to grow up and have resentment. There's just no denying. Doesn't matter if there's SA or not. There's just no denying that her actions are going to bring resentment. That's right. That's why I say you got to use your eyes. Right. That's what happens. She gets cornered and then plays the victim. Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. She didn't seem to have any like, it's crazy to me, man. Okay. Declined victim card. You win handle of the day. I love that. All right, guys. I'm going to go ahead and call it. All right. What page am I on? Page 181. Okay. I'm on page 181. But guys, I'm going to call it. I love you very much. And we will do this again very soon, my friends.